My name is Professor Kenneth Jacobsen. I am a professor of law at Temple University in Philadelphia, and I teach, among other things, civil procedure, evidence, jurisdiction, and other courses related to litigation and to the liberties of people in the court system. I work with judges very closely. I teach judges. I have judges participate in my classes. And I'm familiar with my judicial system, and I'm also very familiar with the judicial system in Taiwan, which I think is respected. In fact, I'm familiar with a lot about Taiwan because I visited there. I have lectured at the National Taiwan University College of Law. I've lectured at the undergraduate campus at the university. I have testified before committees at the Legislative Yuan. I visited the Control Yuan and visited with representatives there, as well as businessmen and women, and even just regular people on the street in Taiwan. So I'm very, very familiar with the country, with its people, and with its process. With that, let me turn to the issue of太極門, which is both very disturbing and I think is a blemish on what is a very fine system of justice in Taiwan. The role of government, the role of tax authorities, the role of prosecutors, their role is not to seize property, okay? Their role is not to prosecute people. That may be what they do, but that's not their role. What is their role then? Their role is to seek justice. Their role is to follow the rule of law. And if in seeking justice and following the rule of law, that means that someone is not prosecuted for a crime because they believe that no crime was committed or that person didn't do it, then that's justice. They're not going to prosecute for the sake of prosecuting just because that's their job. Same with tax authorities. They collect taxes when it's appropriate to collect taxes. They should not collect taxes when it's inappropriate to collect taxes. And in this case, in the太極門case, it's been determined that the taxes that have attempted to be collected are improper. And this is disturbing because the continuation and the perpetuation of an injustice is as bad as the commitment of that injustice in the first place. And that is what's happening here in the太極門tax case. In any court around the world, including in the United States and certainly in Taiwan, if there's been an error, we don't adhere to that error. We don't say, okay, fine, there's been an error, but too bad. If we find new DNA evidence, for example, that confirms that someone who has been prosecuted and convicted, and the appeals have gone all the way even to the Supreme Court, if later evidence shows that that person didn't do that, didn't commit that crime, we don't keep that person in jail. Why? Because we're not here to prosecute or persecute people. We're here to seek justice. And if justice from information that comes and is learned afterwards shows that a prior ruling, a prior conviction, a prior tax assessment was wrong, then it should be corrected. That is precisely the case in the太極門tax case. And it is inconceivable to me that there's even a discussion about 1992 because the situation and circumstances there were no different than they were for the other years in which there's been a negotiation down to zero of the tax liability. The decisions from 2006 were wrong when they were decided, but they were demonstrated to be more wrong, if that's possible, when the criminal division of the Supreme Court ruled a year later in a criminal case that these red envelopes were gifts and not tuition for a cram school. Clearly inconsistent with the 2006 ruling. That 2006 ruling is further undermined by the evidence of the survey, a survey that was agreed to by all of the ministers, the interministerial survey to finally resolve the Taijiman tax case. And what happens? What happens? They don't honor the results of that survey, but additional evidence to show that the 2006 determination was wrong. And if there was any ever doubt about how wrong it was, that was resolved in 2018, when a high administrative court pointed out in its decision that there were fundamental flaws in the 2006 decision. So the decision of 2006 was wrong at the time. It was proven wrong in 2007. It was proven wrong with the survey that was conducted by the government in all branches, several branches of the government, and it was demonstrated and proven wrong again in 2018. So the fact to me, as someone who is an expert in this, who practices, I'm not just an academic, I have practiced law, I continue to practice law, but I also teach it. The fact that there's even a discussion and debate about whether taxes are due for 1992 is, to me, a gross injustice. It is a violation of the rule of law. It is not seeking justice, it's an abuse of justice. And the world is watching. People are watching how this case is going to be handled. And I encourage all of the decision makers to put a stop to this, to not seize any property and not perpetuate an injustice that has gone on for 24 years. Thank you very much.